I'm going to show you an approach straight from my shadow work system on how to manage and remove your fear of the future. Now, the best case scenario is you evaporate it to near zero, or at the very least, you're going to be provided a tool to manage and cope more effectively when the fear becomes a bit too much. Fear of the unknown is more specifically, of course, the fear of what is to come. Now, these manifest in two ways to keep it simple. The first one is a specific event, which is more of a performance challenge. So a job interview, confrontation, tournament that you have to compete in, etc. So it's more about that one moment rather than the general sense. This one is much deeper. It is at the identity/persona level. And those are the ones who have a vague, constant worry about tomorrow. So it doesn't matter. You find your brain getting hijacked all the time about what's going to happen with me. What's my life going to look like? What job am I going to have? Am I going to keep my business? Am I going to lose it? It's just a nonstop hamster wheel. Now, before I get into the strategy, I want to first say that, remember, fear is an important signal. It's not something you want to hate on. As well as all the emotions, they all serve a purpose. The issue is, of course, when it just becomes way too overwhelming and it's taking away from the quality of your life, and you're not spent living, you're not spent actually feeling engaged with what you're doing, but rather just constant risk aversion. To dissolve this issue, you have to first be able to distinguish between what is real and what is imagination. And what I call the maybe rule is going to allow you to actually do that. Now, similar to you, when I first opened my Jiu-Jitsu Academy, I was painfully worried and anxious about whether I was actually going to close the sale with a lead that came through my door. And so I would always be just worried and constantly think about what I'm saying. Are they going to like the way it smells in here? Do they think we're all, slimy? Are we off? Do we look welcoming? Am I welcoming enough? I would be so much about the next 5 minutes that I came off anxious to them because I was, and stressed and worried that I needed the sale, which of course I needed the sale. I first opened, but I already began that conversation on the wrong foot. And it was once I ran through the maybe rule that all of a sudden things got a lot better. So what I want you to do is you're going to grab yourself a piece of paper and you're just going to draw a simple line like this, just a cross pattern. On the left side, you're going to put constant. On the right side, you're going to put maybe. I have to quickly edit just to fix that cross pattern because it fully went on a diagonal. It was driving me nuts. On the left side, what you're going to put is everything about you that has been the same, no matter how much you worried of a specific event, how much you've just been worried about things in general. And I want you to think across your whole life. What has stayed the same? Have you always been shown resilience? Have you always noticed that you've been maybe patient? That you've survived no matter what happened? And no matter what happened, you've been a problem solver. You've always just figured it out. Now, what's really important is not just to list all the positive attributes, all the important and uplifting. You do also want to talk about the shadow side as well. So regardless of how worried and anxious and fearful you were about a particular event or the future, have you still incorporated, maybe you've been a little lazy? Have you been avoiding? Careless? Just run through them, but make sure it's both the light and the dark. On the right side, you're going to put everything that you think will happen. And you can pick a specific event like a job interview. What are you worried about? Well, what are they going to think of me? What are they going to say? What if they don't think I'm dressed proper enough? Go through everything. So maybe let's pick the job interview. So what are they going to say? What if I don't fit in? What if they hate me? What if they think I'm stupid? And just keep going, just go nuts with it. Once you're done, everything on the right side, what I say is if it's a maybe, you don't own it. You don't keep it. It's all imaginary. You have to detach yourself from your imagination. Inside my shadow work system, I have like the Trinity, the internal Trinity, which is the head, heart, and soul. The head is used for strategy, implementation, and decision-making, all those great things. But the problem is if you allow too much of that to dominate your life, then you can start to actually be allured and drawn into its imagination. You start to believe everything you're thinking about. And we generally always tilt towards negative outcomes. It's just the human nature, right? And you can train yourself to think more positive, but you are really deluding yourself in either direction. If you think everything is always going to go right and you lean in that, then you're going to get disappointed, of course. And then you're causing more resistance. If you lean too much, obviously, in the negative side, you're just causing your life excess suffering just by the things you're thinking about. So you want to inhabit moment by moment living. Just moment by moment, because that's all it is. In other words, the present moment. And anything on the left side, what has proven to you is that who you are at the core survived thus far. You're here watching this video. You've lived. You have figured it out. The only thing that perhaps has been lacking is your preparation. What I call masculine excellence. Masculine excellence is our innate ability to actually pick a particular topic and to seek mastery within it, understand it as deeply as possible. And things outside of that border, just having general preparation for, so that at least you have some option as to what to do. So for example, I'll give you a great option. Great example. Just recently, I had one of my staff members let me know that he doesn't want to cover one of my classes for the kids. The problem is that I have two businesses that I'm building. I have this one and I also have the academy that I run. And so by removing himself, I have to fill in his spot, which at first made me very angry, made me very worried about what's to happen now. Well, that time taken away from me building this mission right here, which is my true, what's giving me great meaning and a direction I have to follow. It's my soul's calling. I felt frustrated and angry. But then immediately I go into preparation. I first go through the list. Whatever as it may be, I first get rid of that. Okay, that's out of the question. Well, now these are my constants. And then inside of that, I go, okay, well, what are the couple directions that I can choose from? And so what I decided to do was, well, if I were to, let's say, cover that class, then what that would mean is I would have to stay at my academy instead of coming home halfway through the day. And if I come halfway through the day, then it's driving commute that takes away more time. So it's better that I just stay. And in fact, I can actually get more work done because I don't have to experience the travel time. But then I also have to acknowledge the dark side as well. I'll be missing more time with my daughter. And that's frustrating. It is. But then I take that reality and say, well, I can take that frustration and make sure I do not waste a single minute when I'm working at that facility so that it's worthwhile, so that eventually I can spend as much time with my daughter as possible. Write this one down. You can think of it as a mantra or just a quote that you can read every once in a while. Measure yourself by the ability to carry reality, whether certain or uncertain, not by your ability to avoid it. The maybe rule generally covers the external a little bit better. It does go deeper into the internal structure. But if you're finding that no strategy has ever worked for you, first I would say give this one an honest shot. It really does wonders. But let's say it doesn't help at all. Nothing has ever helped. Then what you're dealing with is something much deeper, as I said very early on in the video. What you are stuck in is a prison. You must dissolve in order to evolve. Right now, you're in that prison, the identity prison. And we often like to think of this environment as something we can just decorate. So imagine you're in a prison cell and you just put some curtains up, maybe put a nice poster, just to make it feel different. By that, I mean productivity hacks, mindset shifts, and all these other things that feel very surface level that anytime you apply them, it doesn't take away from the fact that you are still inside of a prison. waiting for the key to be given to you to get out. Oftentimes we're sitting there waiting, like, how do I get out of this? Like, I just want to be set free, but we never really realize that all you got to do is just ask for it. And who do you have to ask? Yourself. But in order to actually set yourself free, you are going to have to confront what it is that you are preserving. There is a deep narrative that is protecting you. The fear of the future is manifested by selected memories of the past. Let's say in the past, when you were growing up, based on how you had relationships with your family, maybe particular events, have sat within you that the world is unstable. The world is unpredictable. Things change so rapidly. Maybe you've had people leave you all of a sudden. And this started to create a consistent anxiety. Always fearing what's to come. And once we begin to have these memories in our heads repeat, they create the fear now. So you'll think of a memory that happened to you a while back. And what's amazing is over time as we get older, we forget about the memory and we just keep the somatic experience, the bodily experience. And all it takes is a moment or something that activates that memory unconsciously, and then your body floods in with anxiety and fear and stress. And so your body now brings it in, and then your mind runs after that. And the fear becomes nurtured, it adapts, and then it merges with you, and you start to believe and think that this is who you are. In other words, there is a battle happening internally between the core, your center, the soul. And the battle is with your persona. And you feel this tug and pull because there's part of you that feels that I have faith about tomorrow. I have hope, and I don't want to be stuck thinking about this stuff. You've had equal amounts of experience where you've seen that no amount of worrying or anything can really have you know what's going to happen, but then everything always ends up being okay, not meaning out there, but in here. And so this soul is calling on to you for wholeness. It's saying that you have the key the whole time, but the persona is so afraid. Perhaps it's a fear of failure. Could be the fear of success, abandonment. And I always say, side with the soul, always. You have to allow it to dissolve. Now, what does that look like? You do not engage in the fear. You do not engage with your imagination. Every single time the imagination, the thoughts come in about what's to happen, you do not engage with it, you challenge it. You have to challenge the story. Challenge the status quo. That's the only way. That's the only way to do it. Because until you see what actually happens when you try a different approach, you will always be siding with the persona, and it's very slippery. You may assume that just by theoretical thought and just self-love that you've now moved away from it. But no, it'll just change and shape, and it'll merge itself to another thing, and it'll follow you, and that might be confusing. So I'll give you an example. So before, when I was competing in jiu-jitsu, I had this fear of failure and fear of success at the same time. I felt like I had to prove myself. I did feel at the same time my soul was pulling me to go to jiu-jitsu. In a way, thinking back, it was the soul saying, in order to reveal yourself to yourself, I'm going to have to put you through this. It's a beautiful thing when I actually sit here and think about it. But anyways, as I was running through that period in my life, my early 20s, I felt like I needed the approval of everybody else, so I competed and won those medals and all those things. Eventually, that collapsed. I thought I was done with it. I was over it. But I never really challenged my view. I never challenged my fear of success, my fear of failure. Never really questioned and asked too much about it. I thought, well, I went through this process of identity death and I'm good. But no, when I opened my academy, the same exact narrative, the same exact persona, just shape-shifted. Then I wanted to prove myself to the people around me. I wanted them to stick around. I didn't want them to leave me because I felt like if they left, it was a reflection that I failed. Or if I started to get students the fear of success now, well, what if they all go all of a sudden? What if I lose this? It just shapeshifted. So that's what I mean by it. And I'm going to end it with a little, not poem, but just like a passage that I wrote that I want to share with you guys. We imprison men by telling them they have to or they must. We free men by telling them they never had to, so that they can finally choose to. We cure men by saying nothing at all, for it's inherent in a man to build once the static is gone. Thank you very much. I'll see you all on the next video.